Poems to a Listener, readings and conversation with contemporary poets.
כל אחד שומע בלילה צעדים, לא רק האסיר, כל אחד שומע. כל דבר בלילה הוא צעדים, מתרחקים או מתקרבים, אך לעולם אינם באים עדיך כדי נגיעה. זוהי טעות האדם באלוהיו, וזוהי טעות האלוהים בבני אדם. Everyone hears steps at night, not only prisoners. Everyone hears. Everything is steps at night, receding or approaching, but never arriving close enough to be touched. That is man's mistake about God, and God's mistake about man.
Welcome. I'm Henry Lyman, and that was Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai, reading from his collected poems published by HarperCollins. The poem he just read, like the city sometimes, is full of anonymous footsteps.
It could be any steps. It could be steps of someone loving or someone wanting to murder you, or a prisoner walking in his cell, just.
Or someone outside the cell.
Or someone outside, someone you are waiting for. It could be, and you are watching for it, and you are alert for it, and then they sometimes pass, sometimes they approach, but they never come.
There's an incredible distance between the person in the cell and whoever it is.
Whoever it is, yes. Yeah. That's actually the idea of God. He never shows himself. You only hear him approaching you. You never. That's the old Jewish idea when God in the desert, in the Sinai desert, told Moses, "You'll never be able to see my face. No human being can see me." So it's this never, never idea. It's a Platonic idea of sorts.
And that is somehow God's mistake, having created that
mistake
situation?
Yes. First of all, he thinks that men come to him, but they don't. And people think that God is coming, but he's not coming. And whenever he comes, it's for the wrong reasons. I used to think it could be solved this way, like people gathering in the station at midnight for the last bus that will not come. At first just a few, then more and more. That was a chance to be close to one another, to change everything together, to start a new world. But they disperse. The hour of grace has passed. It won't come again. Each one will go his own way. Each will be a domino again, with one side up, looking for another piece to match it in games that go on and on. I think the idea with the bus is actually, I was really standing at the bus station.
The bus station.
And it was midnight. In Jerusalem, buses after midnight, there's no buses. And so people were this because it was exactly 12. And some people said, the last bus has already passed. Some people said, no, it sometimes gets a little later. So a few people assembled together. And at first we decided even to change mankind, to write a letter to the municipality who runs the transit service. Why don't they have buses till 1 o'clock and so on? No,
reorganize.
Action, revolution,
yeah.
Socialism and so on. And then someone suggested, why don't we all take 2 taxi cabs together and share and so on. So it was really proposals to
get people together.
But then one of them suddenly saw a taxi and he hailed it and he wanted to go to somewhere else. Then each one said, okay, I'll better walk. And so the fewer we got, the less there was a chance to change things. It's actually, it's just that's the way the world runs. And there will be new games, new generations, so don't be sorry if things don't work out. Right. There will be new generations, new trials. No one will really make it, but they try.
And we keep playing.
Yes, we keep playing, yes. I walked past the house where I lived once, A man and a woman are still together in the whispers there. Many years have passed with the quiet hum of the staircase bulb going on and off and on again. The keyholes are like little wounds where all the blood seeped out, and inside people pale as death. I want to stand once again as I did, holding my first love all night long in the doorway. When we left at dawn, the house began to fall apart, and since then the city, and since then the whole world. I want to be filled with longing again, till dark burn marks show on my skin. I want to be written again in the book of life, to be written every single day, till the writing hand hurts.
This doesn't really seem like a game.
No, it's deadly serious, so to say.
You want to be back there in that
Yes.
house. The speaker of the poem wants to be back there.
And well, it's. I think it's the very nature of first love, really, to revisit the location.
The memories that are there.
Memories, yes.
The house seems dead now that you've left it.
Yes, and
Now that the love
we
is gone.
suddenly felt that we were holding each other, and as if we were holding up with our love the whole world. So since we left, everything is crumbling down.
Yeah,
The city
everything
is
is
falling to
disintegrated.
pieces. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a very egocentric way of seeing things.
You want to be written again in the book of life.
Yes, but-
daily in the book of life.
Yes, it's actually on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. It's the main thing is to be written in the book of life, which is probably a symbolic thing, but God writes you on the New Year in the book of life, meaning you live another year.
But you mean here not simply living, surviving for another year, but living deeply and
deeply,
passionately.
sure,
for
because
another year.
living
Yeah.
means living, not just
Right.
biologically surviving. Yes.
I mean, the poem in a way asks that we be marked by life.
By life, yes,
marked-
exactly. Even if
marked
it's
by our-
and so long, even if we get burning marks on our hands,
stigmata, in a
stigmata,
sense,
yes, yeah. When a man grows older, his life becomes less dependent on the rhythms of time and its seasons. Darkness sometimes falls right in the middle of an embrace of two people at a window, or summer comes to an end during a love affair, while the love goes on into autumn, or a man dies suddenly in the middle of speaking and his words remain there on either side, or the same rain falls on the one who says goodbye and goes, and on the one who says it and stays, or a single thought wanders through cities and villages and many countries in the head of a man who is traveling. All these make a strange dance rhythm, but I don't know who is dancing to it or who is calling the tune. A while back, I found an old photo of myself with a little girl who died long ago. We were sitting together, hugging as children do, in front of a wall where a pear tree stood, her one hand on my shoulder and the other one free, reaching out from the dead to me now. And I knew that the hope of the dead is their past, and God has taken it.
Who is that little girl?
A little girl who was killed late in the Holocaust, because we left Germany in 1935 when everything was still
You were just,
okay.
what, 12, 13?
I was 11.
11, yeah.
35, and she was a young Jewish girl. We went to the same class, and we were really, it was a very beautiful relationship between two 10-year-olds, a boy and a girl. It was really, had nothing erotic in it, but it was a deep involvement of both of us. And so I saw this picture, and God has taken it. It's actually from the book of Genesis. The first death, one of the first deaths, There was Hanoch, who was one of the forefathers of Abraham, and it says, and he was not anymore, because God had taken him.
But she is there. That little
She's
girl.
there, exactly.
She's reaching out.
She's reaching out with the same rhythm.
Yeah. But you don't know who's really dancing it.
Yes,
the tune.
exactly, and who is playing the tune.
Calling
yes.
the tune.
Well,
Yeah.
if I were really religious, I would see it as a religious poem, because it actually means that there must be someone to whom this whole thing is totally in order. It's a rhythm,
appears
and we just don't realize it. We think it's chaotic, but it's actually all written in a script book of a great master. Yes.
So there is a dancing master.
There's a dancing master or a composer or whatever, or band master.
Who takes the past, takes life.
Yes. The little park planted in memory of a boy who fell in the war begins to resemble him, as he was 29 years ago. Year by year they look more alike. His old parents come almost daily to sit on a bench and look at him. And every night the memory in the garden hums like a little motor. During the day you can't hear it.
Where is this place?
It's in Jerusalem, not far from the house where I grew up. It was a boy from the neighborhood who was he was 1 or 2 years younger than me, but we were kids in the same little neighborhood in pre-48 Jerusalem. He fell in the war. And the municipality had a little park planted, just a tiny little park, and called in his name. And his parents, his father is still alive. He's 89 by now. And they came every day to sit there, to water.
And to keep him alive.
Yes, and to keep him alive, exactly.
The park grows to resemble him.
It's probably almost a kind of wishful thinking, yes. That you want him.
To be there.
To
again.
be there, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The memory of the boy humming like a little motor.
Yes. The diameter of the bomb was 30 centimeters. And the diameter of its effective range about 7 meters, with 4 dead and 11 wounded, and around these, in a large circle of pain and time, 2 hospitals are scattered and 1 graveyard. But the young woman who was buried in the city she came from, at a distance of more than 100 kilometers, enlarges the circle considerably. And the solitary man mourning her death at the distant shores of a country far across the sea includes the entire world in the circle. And I won't even mention the crying of orphans that reaches up to the throne of God and beyond, making a circle with no end and no God.
Was this about a particular bombing, a particular bomb?
Oh yes, it was one valley. We had until about 5-6 years ago quite a lot of these bombs in supermarkets, bus stations, and so on, which I either witnessed or heard on the radio and so on and so on. But it was just this one which suddenly made me aware. Now is a poem in the original Hebrew. קוטר הפצצה היה 30 סנטימטרים, וקוטר תחום פגיעתה כ7 מטרים, ובו 4 הרוגים ו11 פצועים, ומסביב לאלה, במעגל גדול יותר של כאב וזמן, פזורים 2 בתי חולים ובית קברות אחד, אבל האישה הצעירה שנקברה במקום שממנו באה, במרחק למעלה מ100 קילומטרים, מגדילה את המעגל מאוד מאוד, והאיש הבודד הבוכה על מותה בירכתי אחת ממדינות הים הרחוקות, מכליל במעגל את כל העולם, ולא אדבר כלל על זעקת יתומים המגיעה עד לכיסא האלוהים, ומשם והלאה, ועושה את המעגל לאין סוף ואין אלוהים.
The poem begins with an explosion, a
Yes.
bomb. But then it goes much, much further.
Actually, you could say that every explosion goes endlessly.
In this ever-widening circle
Circle. It's
of human pain.
Yes, of human pain and of even political or historical development. So every bomb is
Never-ending.
yes.
The circle of pain and suffering that goes on throughout history, which, in the poem, excludes God.
It includes, but then it excludes him. Yes.
Yeah. It goes right up to the throne of God,
Yeah.
which is empty, in a sense.
Yes, because that's the old conception of the cry of orphans and widows go up to the throne of God and he will help. But it includes him too in that circle of sadness and suffering. Every evening, God takes his glittery merchandise out of the shop window. Chariot works, tablets of law, fancy beads, crosses and gleaming bells, and puts them back into dark boxes inside and closes the shutter. Another day, and still not one prophet has come to buy.
There seem to be many items in this shop window competing with each other.
It's like in every shop. If you buy one shirt, you don't buy the other shirt.
Right.
Yes.
But these are definitely religious articles.
Yes, all
I mean,
articles of all religions.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So it's
The Roman chariot
yes.
works.
It's actually a poem in the old city where you have shops which sell
So that's
holy
difficult
things
to
to
find.
pilgrims of Jewish, Muslim, and Christian pilgrims. So they have everything.
So
there.
because you have the Muslim fancy
Yeah,
beads,
yes.
the tablets of law, Jewish,
and crosses. Yes.
crosses,
Yeah.
and gleaming bells,
Yes.
being the Roman Catholic
Yes.
Christian.
Yeah.
All of which, in a certain way, are competing for the attention of the buyer.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But they're in one shop window. Yes.
In God's
you
shop
could,
window.
Yeah, but
no prophet comes to buy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where would a real prophet buy, do you think?
No, of course, not in a shop.
Yeah.
They would buy out there where human beings suffer and
Where human beings are?
things are happening. Because all these other things are just playthings of established religions which have nothing to do with humanity and nothing. On Yom Kippur in 1967, the year of forgetting, I put on my dark holiday clothes and walked to the old city of Jerusalem. For a long time I stood in front of an Arab's hole-in-the-wall shop, not far from the Damascus Gate, a shop with buttons and zippers and spools of thread in every color and snaps and buckles, a rare light in many colors like an open ark. I told him in my heart that my father too had a shop like this with thread and buttons. I explained to him in my heart about all the decades and the causes and the events, why I am now here, and my father's shop was burned there, and he is buried here. When I finished, it was time for the closing of the gates prayer. He too lowered the shutters and locked the gate, and I returned with all the worshippers home.
This is a very different kind of shop window. You describe it as being an open ark.
Yes.
There's this rare light with many colors, like Joseph's coat of many colors.
Yes, but it's an open ark in a synagogue, where the holy scriptures stand, and it's lit from inside, and you open it with a curtain, and inside you have these scrolls of the law standing there.
You speak to this Arab in your heart. You're not actually speaking to him. You stand in front of the shop, addressing him, talking about all the chains of events, the causes and effects and events.
So it brought two human beings
together
from
very separate destinies.
Yes, destinies, and under the circumstances of historical events. That's how people are just. No one is to blame. No one is. That's what happened. So.
Right. So there's a kind of coming to terms here.
Yes, to come to terms with.
with fate and destiny.
With fate and destiny, and that you can't change it. The destiny has put these two people there. So,
and you draw a parallel between
yes,
him
that was
and your
really,
father.
Yes, it was a real parallel. Yes.
So there's a kind of kinship in a certain
Exactly,
sense.
of course it is. Yeah.
But it amazes me that you should describe this shop window, Arab shop window, in terms
Yes,
of
but it's
Jewish
because
holy
it's,
symbol.
no, it's all the same. It's the same kind of everything is holy. Either everything is holy or everything is not holy. So there's no difference between them. I'm sitting here now with my father's eyes and with my mother's graying hair on my head in a house that belonged to an Arab who bought it from an Englishman who took it from a German, who hewed it out of the stones of Jerusalem, which is my city. I look at the world of the God of others who received it from others. I've been patched together from many things. I've been gathered in different times. I've been assembled from spare parts, from disintegrating materials, from decomposing words. And already now, in the middle of my life, I'm beginning to return them gradually, because I want to be a good and orderly person at the border when they ask me, "Do you have anything to declare?" So that there won't be too much pressure at the end, so that I won't arrive sweating and breathless and confused, so that I won't have anything left to declare. The red stars are my heart. The distant Milky Way is the blood in it, in me. The hot Khamsin breathe in huge lungs. My life is close to a huge heart, always inside.
Jerusalem and the world, us, all of us, come from such mixed heritage, as the poem points out. I mean, the house that belonged to an Arab who got it from a German.
Yes, it could be actually a hopeful poem, because
Oh,
it
yes.
means that the world is one in a way. So wherever you touch tradition, you always find it's a mix, and that's a great...
You yourself are seen in the poem as someone of very mixed heritage, in a sense, carrying the weight of slowly disintegrating ideas, a past that is constructed of decomposing words, you say. You're lightening yourself here, dispensing with these things. Why?
A lot of the thing we carry with us is just we become like bag ladies, yes?
Like bag ladies.
Like bag ladies, carrying a lot, and it's really worthwhile getting rid of them. And so, and of course, for the end, there is an airport with customs, yes, where if you come empty, there's no problem with the angels and God say, "Oh, you go through it, fine." If you have a lot of things and you have to open and it's to declare, so I have nothing to declare, I'm free, I have nothing.
So it's easier to cross over.
It's easier to cross over, yes.
In the end of the poem, there's almost a kind of identification on your part with the cosmos, with the entire universe. Your blood is the Milky Way. The red stars are your heart.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you are seen as being inside a huge heart. Are you inside that huge heart, or is the huge heart inside you?
Well, it depends from which angle you look at it. But as you sometimes have the fear, I'm sure everyone has this kind of feeling. Sometimes you are part of something, and yet you are not.
So it's both?
It's both, yes. I haven't said the last word yet. I haven't eaten yet. I'm already full. My cough is not from smoking or illness. It is a compact and economical form of inquiry. Whatever has been is as if it never was, and the rest I do not know. Perhaps it is written in the difficult books on the shelf, in the concordances of pain and the dictionaries of joy, in the encyclopedias with stuck pages, like eyes not wanting to let their dream go at dawn, in the terrible correspondence of Marx and Engels, you and I, he and God, in the book of Job, in the hard words, lines that are deep cuts in my flesh, long wounds red from whips, wounds full of white salt, like meat that my mother salted and koshered, so there would be no blood, only pink salt soaked in blood, only the pain of searing knowledge, the sacred, the pure. The rest, unknown, alien in darkness, we will wait, bowed down on our knees, like the brothers in Egypt, in the dark, hiding servile faces, till the world can no longer resist and will weep and cry out, I am Joseph, your brother. I am the world.
There's a kind of revelation, I think, foreseen or hoped for at the end of the poem. And Joseph...
Yes, and his brothers,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, and I used the biblical story, of the brothers who came to Egypt and
Yes.
didn't know that has become this big, they thought he was dead.
They didn't recognize Joseph.
They recognized Joseph and he was this big king and they were afraid of him in the darkness. And suddenly he said, I'm Joseph, your brother. Don't be afraid and so on. But I used I'm Joseph, brother, I am the world. It
I am
means,
the world.
meaning it includes everything.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's a kind of forgiveness because they were afraid he would take revenge on them when he told them that he would take revenge on them because they had so mistreated him when he was a kid.
So the world, like Joseph, then, is asking to be recognized as itself?
Yes, I'm the world, I'm the thing, and I'm also the forgiveness.
So the world is offering forgiveness
yes.
as well, to be seen
Yes.
for once,
Yeah.
for what it is.
I shall read this last poem in Hebrew. עוד לא אמרתי את המילה האחרונה, עוד לא אכלתי וכבר שבעתי. השאול שלי הוא לא מעשן ולא ממחלה, אלא הוא צורה מרוכזת וחוסכת זמן של שאלות. כל שהיה הוא כלא היה, וכל השאר אינני יודע. כתוב אולי בספרים הקשים שבהצטבע, בקונקורדנציות של הכאב ובמילוני השמחה, באנציקלופדיות דבוקות הדפים כעיניים שאינן רוצות לשחרר את חלומן בשחר, בחילופי מכתבים נוראים של מרקס אנגלס, אני את, אלוהים הוא, בספר איוב, במילים הקשות, פסוקים שהם חתכים עמוקים בבשרי, פצעים ארוכים ואדומים מצליפות, פצעים ממולאי מלח לבן, כבשר שאימי המליכה והכשירה, שלא יהיה דם, אלא מלח ורוד ספוג דם, אלא כאבים שהם ידיעה צורבת, כשרות וטהרה, השאר לא ידוע, והתנכרות באפלה, כאחים במצרים נחכה, קוראים באופל ברכנו, מטמיני הפנים הנכנעים, עד שהעולם לא יוכל עוד להתאפק, ויבכה ויצעק, אני יוסף אחיכם, אני העולם.
Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai, reading from his collected poems published by HarperCollins. His translators were Hannah Bloch, Ted Hughes, and Stephen Mitchell. I'm Henry Lyman. Thanks for joining us.
Poems to a Listener was produced by Henry Lyman in cooperation with WFCR, Amherst, Massachusetts. This program was supported by the Witter Binner Foundation for Poetry and the National Endowment for the Arts.